All right, good morning, everyone. Hope the show is going off to a good start for everyone so far. Great to speak to you all this morning. Just an introduction to myself. My name is James Riegelman. I am a pallet product manager with Orbis Corporation with a specific focus on the retail supply chain side of our products. Just a little history on me. I've been with Orbis for just about over a year now. But before that, I was working in a supply chain management role with a large retailer here in the United States, where I had firsthand experience with expendable packaging and the many pain points that came with wood and corrugated products, and also overseeing the switch to reusable plastic products within the supply chain. So today I'm going to talk with you guys about specifically plastic pallets and kind of managing that shift to reusable plastic packaging. So when considering reusable plastic pallets, there are many benefits and characteristics that separate these pallets from wood. So kind of pointing on several of these high-level characteristics that we'll kind of get into here in more detail, but with dimensionally consistent. So with plastic molding, we're able to achieve dimensionally consistent products where you're not able to achieve that with expendable packaging. So this variability in design that comes with expendable packaging can have a great impact on not only material handling or manual material handling, but also automation. So with these inconsistencies, debris, wood shards, nails, these can all be factors related to wood or expendable packaging that can interfere with automated systems. So we can help mitigate some of these issues or these challenges with reusable plastic packaging. And obviously automation downtime is a crucial part. So with debris or wood shards, nails, anything that comes with wood, this can be mitigated with the introduction of plastic into an automated system. Also looking at the economic side of things, we'll touch on this a little bit more in the next slide, but looking at the extended service life that you can achieve with a reusable plastic pallet compared to that of an expendable packaging, you do get an extended service life, which can obviously impact the economics for each trip with a pallet. Also looking at the hygienic design. So obviously with plastic pallets, you do achieve a safer and a cleaner plant and facility overall, which we'll get into here in a minute as well. But also looking at the environmental aspect, obviously plastic pallets remove a lot of waste that you get with expendable packaging within your operations or supply chain. So on the other hand, reusable plastic pallets can be recycled at the end of their life cycle. So those products will be turned into additional packaging in the future. So that's kind of that reuse and reduce focus. So like I mentioned, so pallet design. So a beneficial aspect to reusable packaging and specifically with pallets is that the design behind these products can be very specific and intentional. That's something that you can't really get with expendable packaging. So as mentioned earlier, plastic pallets do have an extended service life compared to that of wood. So just for an example, the Orbis Odyssey pallet achieved 400 plus trips in the Virginia Tech testing, where wood can only complete roughly 11 cycles. So that's where you get that extended trips out of the plastic packaging. So obviously the absence of rust, nails, staples, all those loose boards that come with a broken pallet, those allow for a much more dangerous or inefficient workplace. So switching to reusable plastic pallets mitigates some of those risks that you get with the debris associated with wood, like I mentioned before. And the design of pallets, like I said, is very intentional and very specific, and can be very specific. So looking at no hidden cavities allowed in or hollow areas in plastic pallets, so a lot of that expendable packaging will harbor different contaminants. So mitigating as many contaminants as possible for food processing, pharmaceutical applications is a big focus on the reusable plastic pallet side of things. As I mentioned before, the easy cleanability. So as you can see here in the picture, this is a flow-through design of a pallet. So these pallets are easily cleanable. They can go through pallet washers. If there's contaminants that are brought in through the processing in your facility, these pallets can go through a washer and be easily cleaned. So that's a big part of it as well. Another benefit to the design and manufacturing process with plastic pallets are the material characteristics. So you can get creative with the different material options that we have for plastic pallets. So for example, FDA compliant materials can be added to plastic pallets when these pallets are in contact with direct food. So that's definitely a benefit for food processing. And also by nature, plastic pallets do not allow for absorption of moisture or odors that you can get with a wood pallet. And the other thing with the different environments that we see in the supply chain, plastic pallets are very susceptible to the different environments, specifically with temperature, from freezer applications all the way up to high temperature pallet washing applications. These pallets are very susceptible to those, or very acceptable to those different environments within the supply chain. Also another example here, looking at metal additives that can be added to plastic pallets. These metal additives can be added so that there's an X-ray or a metal detector within a facility to make sure that there aren't any pallet shards or anything getting introduced to food processing or a very sensitive facility. So just looking at some of the different variables and aspects to the material of the plastic pallet, you can get very creative, and like I said before, the design is very specific and intentional. So once we look at different material options, we can incorporate many different aspects to fit the application. So in making the switch to reusable pallets, it is important to understand what type of pallet is obviously needed for the application. There's different types of pallets, so really understanding what is the best fit. So I'm just going to kind of go over these in kind of high level, and these terms may be known to you, but maybe not. So looking at rackable pallets, so really these words are pretty straightforward, but they're designed to be stored in racks with minimal to no deflection. So once you have a pallet with the full load on it, obviously we want to see minimal to no deflection once we're in a rackable application. And then stackable pallets. So this is just like it sounds, a stackable pallet that can be stacked on the floor or multiple stacks on top of each other. And these pallets are not suitable for unsupported or edge racking, but they are suitable for fully supported racking, which we'll talk through in the next couple slides. And then nestable pallets are meant for lightweight applications and nest inside one another for more efficient operations and transportation costs. So another key aspect when switching to reusable packaging is to understand the load that's on the pallet specifically, and that's crucial to qualifying the correct pallet for the application. So different load types pose unique stresses on pallets, so that's why it's very important to understand what the load is and what are the implications for the pallet that is going on. So kind of going over what those different types of loads are. Fluid loads, some of you may understand them as super sacks. This is where weights are not evenly distributed. The weights will shift once the pallet is in movement. So understanding how that applies to the pallet that the load is going on is very crucial. Also, column loads or uniform loads, these are what we always love to see in the industry, very straightforward boxes or pallet stacks that are on top of each other. These are very consistent weights along the pallet, so understanding what the implications are for the pallet there. Usually these are kind of easier to qualify a pallet for just because the loads are evenly distributed. You don't have as much stress on specific points of the pallet. Point loads, on the other hand, is where we have a not very evenly distributed weight. It's usually, like it sounds, on one point of the pallet, so that adds additional stress to one specific area of the pallet. So again, going back to the design of the pallets, of taking all these points into consideration and looking at the different options, whether it be a solid deck pallet, different material additives to reinforce a pallet, or steel additives for the pallet, these are all taken in consideration when looking at the specific type of load that's going on the plastic pallets. All right, and another aspect is looking at the racking. This is a very crucial aspect to qualifying a pallet, to switching over to a reusable plastic pallet, is understanding what type of racking this pallet is going to go into. And this is really a crucial aspect from a safety side of things to just make sure that we are qualifying the correct pallet for the application. So again, kind of outlining what these different pallet racking requirements or areas are. Looking at a fully supported racking, this is, again, the terms are pretty straightforward, so we're not trying to be too tricky, which is good. But the fully supported racking is where we have a fully supported racking where there's minimal to no deflection allowed. So there's usually a wire decking in the racking. So what we recommend here is for a stackable or nestable with a backstop on the racking itself. So you can get very lightweight pallets that can go within this racking just because you do have a very fully supported racking where what we'll get to at the bottom here, there's some more stress on the pallet once you don't have so much support underneath the base or the stringer of the pallet. So looking at partially supported racking, this is where you do have some support, not as much as the full wire deck support, but you do have some sort of support between the stringer or the base of the pallet that allows for minimal deflection as well. So this is where you can kind of get into that stackable or rackable pallet because you do have a lot of support underneath the pallet itself. So that opens up several different options, many different options that you can put into your racking for more of a stackable or rackable pallet. The unsupported racking, or what we refer to as edge racking, is where you get the most deflection out of a pallet. So that's where there's a partial support either on the 40-inch side or the 48-inch side or whatever the dimensions of the racking are. And you do have a lot of deflection. So that's where you take in consideration looking at steel reinforcements, again, looking at different material additives to make sure that we're minimizing the deflection due to the unsupported characteristic of this racking type. And again, as you see there, obviously the recommended racking, or the recommended pallet is a rackable pallet only, not putting any stackable pallets or any lightweight pallets in this type of racking, obviously for safety concerns there. So looking at some keys to success when implementing reusable plastic pallets into a facility or supply chain, really relying on the supplier to offer those expertise and that on-site support is crucial, especially if it's a first-time conversion. We've been in this business for a long time, and really leaning on us for the support and qualifying the correct pallet is crucial. And often what comes with this is trialing a pallet, testing it out in your facility, making sure it's the right pallet for the application, and making sure that if it's not, then we switch to a different pallet and look at what works best for your application. And again, working with your pallet provider to run ROI and payback analyses to look at what specifically this is from an economic and environmental aspect. And also completing the packaging life cycle assessment to determine the environmental impacts in a more in-depth look at it. If you're switching from wood to plastic, there can be a lot of environmental benefits when switching over. So leaning on your pallet supplier to run these models with you to see what that switch might look like and get a better understanding of what the switch will look like in detail. So kind of going forward here with keys to success, I say it a lot, plastic pallets are an asset to your operation. When compared to expendable pallets or packaging, we often look at it in a different way, but reusable plastic packaging in general, and specifically pallets, are assets to your operation. So relying on reusable packaging management services to extend the life of your pallet is a key to success with these. So getting those 400 plus trips, making sure that these pallets are treated like an asset rather than just an expendable product. So a lot of these services with reusable packaging management that are offered are tracking, demand planning, inventory management, pallet sorting, inspection, repair, and so on. And these can all help with the extension of the life of the pallet. So kind of the last point here, the investment into plastic pallets can often seem as a hurdle, right? Switching to wood, from wood specifically. So having that option for customized financial options makes the switch more possible or possible. So looking at what those different financing options are to a customer or facility is crucial to looking at that ROI, what the payback is going to be, and how to make it work, especially for those one-time conversions that can be costly upfront.